Welcome back, everyone. Michael here with Offshore Citizen. Today I'm going to discuss a disturbing trend in banking, which is just frankly kind of terrifying. And this is pertaining to the inability of people who are residents of the EEA to open bank accounts around the world, and what you can do about it and how it should probably affect your international strategy. So before we dive in, if you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button, nail the notification bell. Really appreciate you subscribing, really appreciate your support. If you would like help with any of these subjects of international structuring, either for yourself personally or for your business, on the strategy side or the implementation side, please book a call with me, calendly.com/Michael Rosmer, link in the description below, or check out our websites, offshorecitizen.net, offshorecapitalist.com. Send us a message through there. Okay, let's go on. So, over the last little bit, I've had a few conversations with some clients who are, very, like the types of people who get bank accounts opened in cases that a lot of people have troubles opening bank accounts. So for example, very successfully opened bank accounts in Hong Kong when all people were complaining about opening bank accounts in Hong Kong. Having trouble suddenly opening bank accounts in Switzerland, in Singapore, in UAE, and a bunch of other places. And then following that, some conversations I've had with some private bankers that we deal with, and kind of a similar sort of response and getting a bunch of information on this. And the basic perspective of it is that EEA residents can't open bank accounts in a lot of the world. They're kind of like, I don't want to say banned. Banned is not the right term. I'll explain this in a minute. But there's some real problems. And it turns out Australians are similar, and people in the US are similar, and so on and so forth. Like, not good, right? Not very good. And why is that not good? Well, it's not good because these are often places you want to bank, right? Like, if I could choose anywhere in the world to bank at this point in time, I'd probably pick Singapore. I would say that's generally the best place to have bank accounts, just in terms of quality of service, stability, et cetera, right? Certainly Singapore is good. UAE has some things that are good. There's some cases where I would want kind of the UK type banks. There's some cases where I would want, American banks. Like there's a handful that I think have some things that are useful for you. There's sometimes where I, would want EMIs because there's some great EMI things that just give me a quality of service and quality of technology that I won't get in large mainstream institutions. So I want to be able to mix and match and choose what's best for me, right? And so if I'm all of a sudden saying, hang on a minute, well, they just won't let me open bank accounts in a bunch of parts of the world that could be useful to me, this is concerning, right? And I don't think it's the right type of international trend. I think it's a really bad international trend. So why is this happening? The main reason that this is an issue is because of the fact that banks, so let's backtrack for a second. Banks have reached the point where they impede doing business rather than facilitating it, okay? Banks are not your friend. I had this private banker the other day. I spent a little bit of time with him, and I made some comments. I was discussing cryptocurrency, and I was like, hey, listen, are there any banks here that are friendly to cryptocurrency? I haven't encountered any. And he says, banks are not just not friendly. These banks are not friendly at all, let alone not friendly to cryptocurrency, And sad though that might be, or funny though that might be, depending on how you want to look at it, this is just generally the case. And what I've noticed is it used to be you could get banking service really easily practically anywhere, right? If you rewind to 2000, you could, all kinds of people all over the world could go and open bank accounts all over the places and it wouldn't be an issue, right? This is no longer the case. This is it's now hard to bank in a lot of the world. But on top of that, it used to be, banks were always kind of seeking to make money off of you, of course. That makes sense, right? But now they've reached the stage, I've noticed, where they're basically like, hey, if we're not going to make enough money off you, we're just not going to give you these other services. So the norm used to be, hey, we'll accept anybody in the door, and then we'll try and make money off them. Now it's just we're going to do an analysis. Nah, you don't look profitable enough. Goodbye. And what's the issue with this? Well, if you get shut out of the financial system, it's kind of like denying your ability to exist and, do business and thrive in the world today. So this is a problem. This is not a good trend, right? It's terrible, and it's driving some of the stuff with cryptocurrencies, et cetera. So what's going on here? Well, what's really going on is it's not that they can't or won't open bank accounts for residents of the EEA or Australia or places like that. What it is the regulations do not allow them to sell financial products to those people, and they make the money today off the financial products. They can't, you think about this with negative interest rates and super low interest rates, and then on top of the fact that they don't do loans for people from, for foreigners, et cetera, like they don't make any money off them that way. The way they make money is off these financial products. So they're like, if you're willing to engage in wealth management products, you are a much more valuable customer. I've talked about this for, I don't know, a year ago I was doing videos about this. And so they just can't do that. And so what they say is they're just like, well, hey, listen, like if we can't sell you these products anyway, what's the point in giving you an account? We might as well just not give you an account because we're not going to sell you the stuff, so we're not going to make the money off you, so you're just a liability for us. And goodbye. And so, yeah, that's just terrible to me. So what does this tell me about what your international strategy should be? Your international strategy today should be, for a variety of different reasons, but this being one of the key ones, should largely be centered around the idea that it is worth having multiple residencies today. So historically, it was like, okay, maybe you'd have multiple passports, but you'd have like a residency. I think today, more than ever, it makes sense to have multiple residencies. There's a bunch of residencies that you can have that are easy to maintain. Maybe you have to go there once a year, once every 6 months, once every 2 years, kind of in that range, right? You have places like Panama, Cyprus, UAE, Thailand, et cetera. It's easy to maintain a residency permit there, right? And what does this give you as an advantage? Well, first of all, it allows you to travel. So that's important in a day where they restrict travel. But second of all, it gives you the ability to access a different set of services in a different part of the world that you wouldn't normally have access to if you were only in this locale. So the truth is, if you're in Thailand, you probably can't bank in a lot of European banks. That's bad for you. On the other hand, if you're in Europe, you probably can't bank with a lot of Singapore banks, and that's bad for you, right? So the ideal is you can do both, right? What is that, Kate? What's the price of that? The price is you have residency in multiple places. So I would say, I've been advising for quite a while, hey, have multiple bank accounts, have backups, et cetera. I'd say at this point in time, it's getting more and more valuable to have multiple passports, have multiple bank accounts, probably have multiple companies, and certainly have multiple residencies as well. So anyway, I hope that helps. Hope it gives you a little bit of insight in terms of kind of what's going on. I suspect that this trend is not going to decrease. I suspect it's going to increase, unfortunately. So I hope that's helpful. And if you have questions about it, put it in the comments below. As always, if you like it, share it with your friends. If not, please tell me why. Subscribe, click the notification bell. If you would have any like help with these sorts of things, please reach out to me. Happy to help you. Book a call, calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer. And I'm going to see you guys on the next video.